My angels, it is story time. I hope you are well. I'm in my new little rhythm and my flow in this new room. This is the second time and it feels really amazing. You know, I always tell you guys, design your life. You design your life. You're a little creator. You have so much power in your own life, and your intuition is there every day trying to guide you into space, trying to guide you in the rhythm that is the most graceful that you could live in. It's the way that we enjoy life. And my whole day is full of rituals, which I adore. And I've actually cultivated all of these little rituals through a real season of heartache and pain and dark times where I could not see my way through. Truly, I mean, I'm showing you this because it's coming to mind, but my world for 2 years was like black. And at one point I had a picture, and it was like I was walking down this black tunnel and all I had was the light of the spirit. And it was like one step, maybe I could see 2 steps in front of me. And my only prayer was, don't leave me. Don't leave me. I was terrified. All I could pray was just get me through, right? A little, just saying it because I'll never forget that season, ever, 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 marked forever by that, but in a very beautiful way. And I embrace it now as my chrysalis, my place of phoenixing. I like that imagery a lot. I have been studying at the University of Oxford, just turned in my final dissertation in September. And I've been doing a series called Rebloom, and it started with a revelation, which was my intuitive, this is my actual spiritual experience, right? But over those 5 years, all of the research and all of the analysis and everything I was doing was circling around that revelation, what that revelation had told me. And that's a really beautiful picture of how spirituality works, okay? When I even say spirituality, it's just meant to mean being human. So part of my studies was focused on the ancient Near Eastern culture and cosmologies. And what I can tell you is that the ancient world, and I always say this, but was a holistic thinking world. So in a weird way, we're getting back to that, but we are very dualistic in our thinking. And that is for lots of reasons, primarily because of the Greek philosophy, which is Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, right? That was really the birthing place of duality, where we split those worlds. And there was some really good thinking that came out of that, obviously. But unfortunately, Plato prioritized out there as being the truest form of things, right? In his attempt, I believe, his best of intentions, to kind of honor the idea that God, or whatever's out there, he's a deist, is the highest form of things. But unfortunately, what it did to our brains throughout the collective conscious replication of that throughout millennia was it made us think heaven's out there, hell's down there, I'm here. And with, obviously you guys know Gnosticism and all of that, Gnosticism, gnosis, right, knowledge, it was an esoteric secret society where, you know, you were privileged to certain high knowledge, but you know, the poor person and the farmer, like, they don't get that. They're not good enough for that. Anyways, my point being, what was my point? Dualism. Unfortunately, people started to think that matter, which is the argument of Docetism. Have you heard of Docetism? It's the idea that matter is bad and spirit is good, okay? And the Christian church is full, presently, not 10 years ago or 20 years ago, right now, the Western Christian church is fully operating out of that belief system. Spirit is out there. This is here, even in post-charismatic places. There is such an elitism put on traveling in the Spirit and going in the Spirit and having encounters in the Spirit, and it's really unfortunate because this is the overcorrection. Oh my God, I'm just teaching on dualism, which is not anything to do with this episode. Let me wrap it up really quickly. I'm sorry. It's really unfortunate because it was the overcorrection to the church taking the Spirit out and the supernatural stuff out. But humanity always overcorrects. And the pendulum swings, and everybody's new movement is really just an overcorrected movement of some sort. And it's really boring. It's boring me. I get spicy because I'm like, oh God, we're creators. We are. Autumn. Let me just rock it out. Let me rock it out. See, this is why I dance to chill, because the reality is that it's really upsetting. It upsets me. It upsets me. Let me wind it up. The reality is that God did not make a dualistic world. It is one world, one reality, right? And I'm always going to bring this conversation about reality. If you have to go back and watch The God of the Realms and all of this, you have to go watch that if you want. Or really, the uncreated God establishes what is the metaphysical, philosophical, theological, scientific analysis of what could be considered the Most High, the Creator, the God, the Supreme Being, the Source, the whatever. However, there are check marks. Bare minimum, this is what you'd have to be. And we talk about all that. And we talk about how only Christ, it comes down through the line, okay? And I studied ancient cosmology, so I have had a good, strong look at the sources and the origins of other religions and stories. And I can tell you is, I do know who all of the ancient gods are. And I do know all of the ancient origin stories, and there is none, hands down, like the Hebrew account. There is no God, there is no nothing, and it ticks all the boxes nicely. Not that your faith is about ticking boxes, but if you like logic like I do, it ticks the boxes, okay? And poor Jesus, not poor. I mean, this is why I say it. He, at one point, do you remember the part where he's looking at the disciples and he's like, there's so much more I would like to talk about. But you guys are still wanting to drink milk, milk from the teat. It's just such a telling story of how we are as humanity. It's like we won't move on. Do you know what I mean? Move on from, oh my God, where am I going with all this? I'm just rabbit trailing, literally. Oh my word. Okay. Breathe, calm. Humanity overcorrects. That's the point. I don't know where I need to stay. I get very spicy. Heaven is not out there. Heaven is here. Hell is not down there. Hell is here. You, my angel, are supposed to be a place of heaven and earth in your temple. This is where the Spirit wants to be. This is where the Spirit is. Okay? And we're creating our lives, and we're meant to. And we have the backing of the Creator. If we ever actually got to the point where we wanted to use our God-given birthright sovereignty and actually change this planet, not try to escape it, not try to move off of it because it's being destroyed and we're getting fed up, right? Not good stewardship. It's not right. I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it like it is. You wouldn't do that with a car. You wouldn't do that with a house. You don't trash something and then just like go get a plan B. It is plan A. And we are going to be in plan A until we make plan A turn out beautiful. And the rapture ain't coming, and Jesus ain't coming back, and nothing is going to happen that makes you feel like you get to escape, because you are the change. And that would be the worst thing that the Creator could do, would be to come back and just what would you have learned about your own sovereignty? What would you have learned about the God inside of you that you're co-laboring with? What would you have learned about your sonship? What is sonship? Just to say, if I talk about any terms in masculine pronoun form, it is not because the Father, the Creator is a masculine, is a man, right? It's a masculine phrase that is given to us because we are sweet little humans who cannot understand what he really is. There is no language for what God really is. It's just, here's the best thing. You know, I'll give you some ideas, right? I'll make male and female. Divine masculine has these natures. Divine feminine has these natures. They work really well together. Those two pictures, yin and yang, right? They are complete. Okay, so I'm kind of like that, right? Christ comes in hypostatic union, right? Divine, fully man. And he comes as a man, which is good because, especially in the ancient world, to do what he had to do, he had to be in a male headship position. And he came and he said, "Our Father who art in heaven." Not my Father. He said, "Our Father." He came as the second Adam, as the Son of God. And all of these terms, as we talked about in the last episode, they're family terms. They're relational terms. And it's just coming to mind, I want to say this. If you are in a religious setting, if it's a church, if it is a synagogue, if it is a mosque, if it is a coven, if it is a temple of any kind, okay? And you have submitted yourself to a spiritual authority of any nature, and that spiritual authority, that person, I mean, this is literally just coming to mind. So this is for somebody, I don't know who needs to hear this, but if that person does not possess the mothering or fathering nature naturally, like, or having, however they got it, if they don't possess if they're female, a mothering, if they're male, a fathering nature, run away. They don't have to be have biological children. That's not what I'm saying. There's a nature to a person. The opposite, okay, it would be, and this is seriously important because people who put themselves in spiritual authoritative places, if they don't have that, what do they have? They want to accrue some kind of worship for themselves. They will be running things like a business. You will not feel important. Now, I'm not saying like the pastor of your church can mother and father everyone. That's not what I'm talking about either. If they themselves are mothering and fathering in their capacity, so if you see them, they're a family man, right? There's good fruit, or family woman, and they have things set up, that is what will replicate out of them. So that's okay. I'm not saying you're going to be close to every leader in your life, but I'm saying even truly, and I'll say this, the landlord of my, where I live, he has a very generous fatherly nature to him. I barely know him, but tell through a few interactions. I was actually pretty amazed by him. And I, at one point, needed to get a job. I was like, I want to get a little job or something. I don't know. I'm waiting to go back to school. But anyways, and I thought, you know who I'd like to work for? I'd like to work for him. Because if he is like that in all areas of his life, that is a very blessed and prosperous person. He would be having, his businesses would be running beautifully. And so I'm saying that to say, even in your jobs, who you align with, if they understand at their core family, they do not have to have children. Not everybody can have them or has them, but there are young people who are protective, and it's about the character, right? I'm saying this because, we're in a different era. I just think we're so disconnected from the reality of it all, okay? And what I'm going to tell you today is that we are in a family. We're in a spiritual family, like I told you. I'm just getting to know all of that. It's a journey, honestly, to try to, I've been saying lately, okay, you know, I really want to get to know the angels that are appointed to my life, to my children's life. I really want to see, maybe not see them with my eyes, but like I want to sense and see and get a feeling of what are we doing? Like, what kind of angels? You know, like you can actually ask those questions. Did you know that? You don't have to do it publicly like I'm doing here, but privately you can say, like, whatever you want, like show me the dimension that I'm working with here, because we're actually meant to work with them. That's a journey, but God is a father to the fatherless, and that's good news. That's good news for the person who did not have a good earthly father, or who could not have that relationship for whatever reason with their earthly father. This is not a blame session, and you'll never hear me do that, because all you have to do is take it back a generation, and you could pretty much find the wounds and the pains and the curses, the generational curses on your ancestors. You can find it. It's just right on through there. And wounded people wound, and hurt people hurt. And, you know, if you're so lucky to be the breaker in your generational line, and I think every 3 generations, I think everyone is supposed to do that work, but you will see someone rise up, maybe among their siblings or maybe whatever, every few and they will be the breaker, and they will be the ones, usually they're the first ones to have faith. They are truly called to break the mold, so they often feel very alone, very scared. You could have believing people in your family, but you could still be the breaker. It's not just about being the first one in your faith. It's about being the first one to break cycles off of your family. So it's very confronting, and it's very hard, and God bless you if you are one of those, because you were made for it. I'm just going to tell you right now, you will have so many scars to be proud of for it. And when they heal, they are tough, and you will be tough. And it isn't easy. And I don't think we do it on our own. I think you need support to break cycles. Really, truly, you need some support from somewhere. And God will send it to you in unlikely, unusual forms. But God is a father to the fatherless. He will father you through it. There is no formula. There is no recipe. I did want to say this. We can talk about all of this stuff, and I'm aware that it will kick up strange feelings for some people, because we are talking about demons and angels. I mean, after all, you know, and I keep saying how vulnerable we are. So I don't want to ever set you on a course of feeling overwhelmed or afraid of these things. And so I wanted to come back off the back of yesterday and just say, remember that in Christ, you have been given all authority. And that is the switching of the blessing, by the way. When the Creator says to Eve in the garden, your offspring will rule over. They'll be at enmity, but the serpent will, the serpent will bite your heel, but you will crush his head, right? I want you to hear that, okay? You have all of the authority in Christ. You have all of it. You have been given all of it. Every spiritual blessing. I know it doesn't feel like that. I know you have tapped into 1% of that. I have tapped into 1%. It just feels like, is that real? But yes, it is real. It's just we have, like I said earlier, we just are stuck in this time on earth where people will not get over religion. They will not get past all of these divisive conversations that are just milk and not meat. And there are people who are just putting more yolks, and they're getting all pedantic, and like, it is truly the distraction of the kingdom of darkness that religious people would fight each other, and where they're not fighting each other, they're just getting caught up into circuses of, like the Pharisees. They just made 700 extra rules for people to do, and then that's Satan's job done, right? That's a good enough job. You know, it's coming to mind. If you are a Christian and you are telling people your tattoos are demonic and your this is demonic and don't drink and don't smoke and blah, 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 and witches and right? Your knickers, sorry, you need to pull them out. Okay? I'm not trying to be rude. I'm being a bit silly, but the reality is, what you do not realize is that you are doing the same thing that was the issue between the Jew and the Gentile 40 AD, 38, right after Christ passed, right? He clearly says, I came for the whole world. I came for the Jew and the Gentile. The Gentile doesn't need to be like the Jew, and the Jew doesn't need to be like the Gentile. Everybody should be as they were, right? In other words, and he says, I lifted the heavy yoke off your neck. Do not return to it. What was the heavy yoke? It was all of the laws and the rules, right? And I used to have written in the front of my first big Bible, the law was made for man, not man for the law. And what that meant was we're going to talk about this more in the next episode when we get into like how we were made in original sin and all that stuff. But what you need to know, okay, is that all things are permissible. Not everything is beneficial. All things are permissible. Do not yoke up, align with, or link up with people who make you feel afraid of everything, spiritually or legally or whatever. Do not do that. You will be going back into slavery. It does not matter. God does not listen. I said this to someone a few months ago who was with me, and they were struggling with the behaviors of somebody that they love. And I said to her, I said, and this was after many conversations of, I wish he would stop smoking. I wish he would stop this. I wish he, blah, blah, all external fruit stuff. And I said, the fruit is pointless to address with someone, because what is the fruit? It is a product of the root, right? So the root system has to be changed. And what is the root system? It's your belief system. It's what you think about yourself. It's what you think about God. It's what you think about the world. It's really your identity. It's your sonship, right? Which is what we're talking about today. That is what needs to be addressed. And somebody, can I get a witness here? How hard are you on yourself naturally? We are so hard on ourselves, harder than anyone else has to be. And you know what they say? If you ever talked to someone else like you talk to yourself, you would be in jail. It's life and death up in there. So here's the thing. I said to her, he needs to know who he is. Love, compassion, kindness, gentleness, honor. And because he is an older man now, truly honoring, right? That is what needs to be addressed, is at the core how he feels. All the other fruit will change. When that changes, everything else will change. Naturally, effortlessly. Because you grow different fruit when you believe different things. That's what manifesting is. What you believe coming out. So, God is a family man. God gives authority, sovereignty, free will to all of us, sons and daughters. And his long game is that our minds would become places of sovereignty and ruling from benevolence, and with all of the both fierce, bold qualities, but also the gentle, right? The lion and the lamb. Those qualities, that we would be really balanced in those. And I'll tell you right now, as a female, my goal is always to become gentle, receiving all of these things, right? But that's because I am much more naturally very fierce. I'm spicy, and I was raised primarily, I was raised by my father. So I have a lot of natural like gumption and like go get it and stuff like that. But the balance for me in my sonship, in my becoming a daughter, has been to go, oh, and I remember so clearly last year, the Spirit saying to me, you don't have to hold it all together. Like, you are a warrior. You've been in warrior mode. But how about, for the first time in your life, you stop fighting harder than other people for what would be amazing for them, right? Because I was so good at fighting that I would fight, if you want something for someone else more than they want it for themselves, if you see more in them than they see, that's partly my damage, is that because I can see in the Spirit who someone is so clearly, like the best version, it is hypnotizing. It is delusionally biased, because if that person isn't kind to you or doesn't treat you well or acts like all other things in the 3D, it's very hard to have boundaries. It's very hard to know how to deal with that. But God just basically just put me through the fires of rejection, abandonment, betrayal, all of those things to serve me, to go, oh, that's what it looks like. I gotta have a boundary because I cannot afford to lose my shit one more time. I gotta have a boundary because I'm going to the hospital in an ambulance because I am overwhelmed. I gotta have a boundary because, oh, I see myself, like, I want some really good stuff to happen. I'm up for this life now, right? So I'm grateful for every single fire, and I hope you are too. Every hard thing you've been through is to make you a son and a daughter who can stand in their power, stand in their sovereignty, and not want to be someone else, right? I'm going to say this really quickly. Remember the story of the older brother and the younger brother that I told you about in the last episode. It's all about jealousy. It's all about wanting what someone else has. It's all about wanting more, going outside the boundaries. You can't go outside the boundaries of your portion, and you will have a portion every season of your life. I was so impressed by this rabbi the other day who was talking. He was saying, he's very wise man. And he was saying that he'd been asked by some government officials to come into a special place of leadership in government to advise. And because it was Rosh Hashanah, he had taken a step back and asked himself, do I have the strength to resist the temptation that is going to present to me when I step into that new place of power? And decided, you never hear of this happening. Mostly people just go, yes, yes, yes. He decided for himself that he would decline the job because he did not feel that his year before had represented to himself that he had grown in maturity in a few areas. And he did not, out of reverence for God, he did not want more until he felt like he could take it. And I have to say, it says the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek are those who hold back. Not hold back their love, not hold back their protection, not hold back the good stuff, but hold back in the face of their pride, in the face of their ego. And they hold back out of humility, not out of avoidance. Does that make sense? Slightly different. They can be a little bit interchangeable depending on, what kind of healing somebody is going through. But anyways, my point being, amazing. So impressed by him. He is more interested in his sonship, growing and maturing, so that every time, because we are to be fruitful and multiply, so we're supposed to enlarge our lives, right? Grow your life for your children and your grandchildren, like grow, go. But not at the cost of your integrity, your courage, your dignity, your softness, your gentleness, not at the cost of yourself, your character. And very few people hold back. So a lot of times we just have to get held back. God will be like, fine, I'll hold you back if you're not going to hold yourself back. And that usually happens a little bit with things. But anyways, I just want to tell you guys that God is a family man. And a lot of the conversations we're going to have on this channel are going to be about sons and daughters and becoming who we are. And I believe in you. I believe in the best version of you. And what I was going to say to you is that there is this study that I came across the other day, and it's a beautiful quantum physics study, and it's like this. And I'll end with this today. Actually, I'm going to end with pulling a few of my cards for you. I have these really cute scripture cards. They're like light and dark. And I'm going to pull a few of these for you. But what was I just saying? What was I saying? Help. This study was about electrons in their superposition. So if you think about a coin being on its side, this is the best way I've heard it explained. Let me use the card. If this card is on its side like a coin, right? It's in a superposition. That's what they call it. And it will either go heads or tails. And the way that it moves determines certain outcomes. The deciding factor in whether it goes heads or tails is who is watching it. Let me just put these down. It's an observable scientific, it's the observable scientific methodology in particle physics for looking at electrons specifically and other stuff. The point is, I can't remember the name of the guy, but he said, if you think you understand quantum physics, then you don't understand quantum physics. Because that stuff, without theology, without understanding that is spiritual stuff going on, confounds scientists. Because, and that's why quantum physics is the bridge, what they're finding is that there is another dimension. There's another realm. There is something else going on energetically that determines something. Now, just remember, on earth as it is in heaven, right? As above, so below. So if that's happening with something that that's me as a creator, I am impacting what that electron chooses by my gaze, right? And it doesn't happen when it's not being observed. That electron does not act the same when somebody is not there looking at it. Holy moly. If that's happening with me and something here, I need to be in the gaze of God in order for certain destined outcomes, the best destined outcomes, right, to happen. And that happens when the son and the daughter sits in the gaze of the Creator, of their Father. When a father looks into the eyes of their child, when a mother looks into the eyes of her child, without any empirical value or mathematics or theology or science or blah, 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 without any of that, there is a transference of power and identity and energy. We call it impartation. It's a powerful truth that happens in the spirit. And so that's why sonship is so important. That's why being in Christ is so important. That's why Christ calling himself a son is so important, and calling the Father is so important. God of Father is so important. And it's why it says in the last days, I will pour my spirit out on Christians. Nope. On Muslims. Nope. On all flesh. All flesh. Kol basar. All flesh means all flesh. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. He loved the whole world, right? The whole world. Okay, so if you are caught in I don't care what religion you're in. If you're caught in it's me versus them, you've lost already. You're in the wrong game. If you want to know what the will of God is, the Creator, his will, the highest reality. If it's you versus them, if it's, God bless the Christians, because they're just like fighting themselves. It's like not even getting out the gate. You're not even playing the game. I say that out of love because it's tough love. It's not meant to be rude or mean. It's because I'm so ready for people to get going, get out there. But it takes an ounce of courage, right? It takes an ounce of courage. And if you are a bridge builder and you are aligning with this channel, I am a bridge. I am a builder. I'm a bridge builder, or I'm a bridge or whatever. That's just even my astrological chart. I'm a cusp. I'm a Gemini Cancer cusp. I'm on the everything about my birth chart, which is, I'm not talking about woo-woo. I'm talking about astrology, like the actual, the cosmos. Okay. Everything even about my birth date has to do with being a bridge. It's amazing. I'm learning about it. I'm going to talk about it in the next series, but you have a specific identity too. Oh, what a good segue, because the next episode is all about you, my love. Who am I? And we're going to get into it. And right now I'm going to pull a card for you, because this is my playful intuitive practice and the way we're going to close the video. Whatever comes flying out. I was always a very good shuffler, but I'm trying a new shuffling style as a bridge with my scripture cards. What does the Spirit want to say to you? Okay, I have to hold it up by the light because it's getting really dark in here, England. Oh, I love that. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has given me victory. He has given me victory. You already have the victory. What have we been talking about? Oh my God, that's so good. The Lord is my strength and my song. My Father is my strength. He has gotten me through everything. And my song, because you can't sing when you're grieving. You can only sing when you're okay again. Some of you guys need to get your song back. You already have the victory. You already have the victory. Should we read the other side too? I like that one. Wisdom is like honey for your life. That's not the side. It fell upright this way, so I think that was the only message. But the other side says, wisdom is like honey for your life. If you find it, your future is bright. Proverbs 24:14. Get wisdom. This is wisdom. This podcast, you've gotten some wisdom here. Done your homework. I've gotten some wisdom. As I share with you guys, I process things on a deeper level. So thanks for letting me share with you today, my angels. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you back here tomorrow.